right, welcome to the Tuesday night edition of World of Pets podcast. Our sponsor tonight is debspets.com. That's DEBSPETS.com. And our engineer, who's lucky to have the night off because she doesn't have to put up with us, is Emily Gomer. And you can find her other work on YouTube at the World of Ability podcast. So basically, without further ado, we're just going to start talking pet and animal health and wellness and mentality and maybe even some spirituality from the sounds of it. So this sounds like it's going to be a fun night. My co-host Anthony, welcome again. It's good to see you, brother.
What's up, buddy? I hope you had a good Independence Day. How is everything in Colorado?
It was fantastic. We're not allowed to have aerial fireworks, but apparently nobody got the memo. So
That's good. That's good. Good. Well, Allison, welcome. We're glad to have you today as well.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'm really delighted to be here. It's nice to meet you both.
Yeah, you were talking about animal stuff, David. I was thinking like when you go to In-N-Out Burger, you can get like the animal style burger. I don't ever get that because it's got like onions are just sinful, and so I don't ever eat onions. But you can get that animal style and stuff. And I was thinking about that. I was like, yeah, I've gotten more than one animal style thing, I think.
yep, good times, good burgers too.
Yeah. So, all right, buddy. Well, kick us off, man. Let us know what's going on today.
All right, so we have Allison in today, and she is going to tell us about all of her wonderful things that she does dealing with animals and pets. And Allison, without further ado, please tell us about yourself.
Okay, well, thanks again for having me. Yeah, I've been working in the pet field for over 30 years, actually. Started off in broadcasting a long, long time ago and then made that transition to really following my heart and what I know I'm here supposed to be doing. So worked as a vet tech for a little while and worked for a large humane society actually in Denver there for the Denver Dumb Friends League. And then transitioned into owning a pet sitting business for about a little over 17 years, where I'd go to people's homes and take care of their pets pretty much every day for 17 years. So it was great. Got lots of amazing experience with all those wonderful animals, and then knew that I wanted to do something a little bit different, and then transitioned into becoming an animal communicator and energy healer and pet loss grief support guide, basically. And that's really who I am and what I do. I know for, just deep within my heart that I am meant to be doing all this. And really, so people will say, well, what is an animal communicator? Like, what the heck is that? What do you do? And what I do is I serve really like as a translator of a bridge of communication for animals and their people. Most of the time, animals are not really heard and understood at a deeper level, right? What are they thinking and needing? Why are they having specific emotional and behavioral issues? And what we mostly do without animal communication is we're guessing a lot of the times, right? Taking aside always getting proper veterinary care, right? I always want to make sure I stress that. That's the number one thing. But so as an animal communicator, what I do is I talk telepathically, which simply means distant feeling. I talk with animals and I help their people understand what they're needing and wanting on a much deeper level. And that's kind of the very bare bones of animal communication.
That's fascinating. Now, is this something you actually needed to go to school for? Or is it a natural found talent that you just discovered in yourself?
Yeah, I love that question. So I'm going to start off by saying I truly do believe everybody has this natural, intuitive ability to communicate with animals. I feel like we're all born with this. It's just quite often it's something that society will say, oh, that's not appropriate, or that's not real, or whatever it might be. I knew that I wanted to do this professionally. So I did choose to study very in depth with this for a couple of years. And I also studied to become a certified teacher of animal communication. So I love teaching about animal communication, because it not only changes the lives of the animals that we live with, but it somehow changes us as well when we're learning animal communication, when we're learning more about our own intuitive abilities and realizing how deeply connected we are with our animal companions. And that I did make a kind of a conscious choice to study this. But in all of the sessions that I have with people, and I work with people worldwide, it generally will come in somewhere within the animal communication session. How can the client get a little bit more connected and understand their own animal that we're working with? And so I'll give some different tips of kind of how to do that during the session as well. So, because really everybody can do this. I'll hear a lot about, you have feel you have a special gift or something. And I don't really feel that that's the case. Yes, I took very deliberate time and studied and practiced my abilities, but everybody has this ability, which I think is really exciting. So, yeah.
That's fantastic. So when you talk about this communication and behavior, what you're trying to do is to figure out why an animal's reacting to something a certain way, whether it's out of fear or curiosity, um, possibly whatever makes it a little extra happy. Those kinds of things, satisfaction, comfort. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, exactly. I'm finding in all the years that I've been doing this, when we're really looking, and I think one of the most important things to understand about animal communication is what we're doing with this is we're looking for the root cause of a behavior, right? Like what's really going on with an animal. There is a root cause to this behavior, and without actually talking with them in their own language, again, basically what we're doing is just guessing, or maybe we're just kind of putting a band-aid on the issue. So yes, what animal communication does is help that animal to speak their thoughts, their feelings, their needs, and then we can start to get to some of those root causes. And then we work together as a team to help to rectify that behavior. How can we change things? How can we make their life better and happier through a better and deeper understanding? Yeah. Perfect example is if somebody thinks, well, animal communication is there to fix the behavior. That's not the case at all. So let's say we have a dog that's constantly chewing things up, right? And we're just getting really, really frustrated with that. Well, what's going on with that dog? Are they bored? Is he anxious? Is he not feeling well? He's not just being naughty, right? That there's something deeper. So through animal communication, we say, how are you feeling? What's causing this destructive behavior? And then once we know what the cause is, what they're feeling, thinking emotionally, then we can say, oh, okay, how can we adjust things in your life to make you more comfortable so you don't feel like you need to be so destructive? Yeah. Or another good example is, let's say, kitties urinating outside the litter box all the time, right? And their person's getting incredibly frustrated with that. And I think one of the biggest tips I can give people to understand is because this is an animal's natural language, which is telepathy, just again means distant feeling, they're able to understand our thoughts and our feelings. They're tapped in, they're tuned into our own emotions. And so let's say we've got a kitty that's urinating outside the litter box. And we're just thinking of that. We're almost kind of on a loop. We're getting frustrated. We're getting probably a little angry. We don't know what's going on. Why do they keep doing this? And so that's what we're thinking all the time. And that's what the kitty's picking up on. Oh, I see. She's seen me urinate outside of the litter box. I'm not sure as a cat, am I supposed to do that or am I not supposed to do that? So as their guardian, what we can do is reframe the story. Always think of reframing for your animal's behavior. How is it that we would like them to act? So start to picture the kitty urinating inside the litter box, scooping it up, right? Covering up their poop. All of those details, then that shows them a different story. Oh, I see. This is what's expected of me. So
It's going to sound cantankerous. My questions are really not. It's just when you start talking, my mind starts going a million miles an hour with how does this work? What are we talking about here? And one of the first things I think of is in humanity, we have several barriers to language, right? For example, other countries speak completely different language. Some countries are fluent, their citizens are fluent sometimes in two languages. For example, our neighbors just to the north. Most Canadians are fluent in both French and English. And so, but you go to Japan and they're not as fluent in English, but they're very fluent in Japanese, obviously. So I guess, in the animal kingdom, it's got to be similar. In other words, I've heard that like amongst blue whales, for example, there can be different dialects depending on the region in which the blue whale is found. So a blue whale could make a noise in the Arctic region, but it sounds completely different in the Indian Ocean. The whales in the Indian Ocean have a completely different dialect. And so one of the first questions that comes to mind for me is, what about language barriers, dialects? I mean, can a dog in Japan understand somebody in America the same way a dog in America can understand? I mean, language is structured for a reason. So how does this work?
Yeah, Anthony, that's a really cool question. I can't say that I've had someone ask me that before, and I love it. That's awesome. Yeah, so let's kind of unpack that a little bit. So first of all, I would say, and sorry if the barking puppy is driving everybody crazy. I just kind of figured that was going to happen. So
I just
part of
figured
the job.
but I don't know.
So that's Willie. He's chiming in apparently, but he is in his supposed to be quiet space, and he's not being quiet. So anyway, yes. So the great question on language. So there are ways that animals communicate with each other verbally, right? Which is their own language, right? Willie's talking right now. He's barking. The dogs have different vocalizations. So they have their vocalizations, whether it's the whales calling, their song, dogs barking, birds chirping. So there's that actual physical vocalization that's coming out. And then they have their body language, of course, right? I also have horses. And they can just have their ear just twitches the tiniest little bit. And the other one goes, oh, that's a signal. I move away. So there's a body language vocalization. And then we have the language of telepathy, again, which simply means distant feeling. That is the interspecies language of all of the species on the planet, basically. And that's at a completely different level. It's a vibrational energy. And I know this goes into kind of a different, I guess, I don't feel it's woo-woo, but we can look at it that way, right? We've got our physical language, our vocalizations, we've got the body language, things that we're all very familiar with. We're going into another realm here where we're looking at the telepathic communication. That's how animals are communicating with each other energetically. And so that's how I'm able to communicate with, a dog in Australia, and here I am in Arizona. And really all of the work that I do is done at a distance. And so that's another way of them being able to communicate with each other without having that physical or the vocalization. It's at a completely different level, if that makes any kind of sense. It's an energetic level, basically. Yeah.
It's kind of, I've heard that beekeepers specifically kind of use that same thing with bees, just to help keep from getting stung. Is they're envisioning the honeycomb in their mind and projecting that out too. So just a thought. And they say, when the bees or wasps get near you, then you can just kind of have that in your mind. And I've experienced that where actually, people freak out when the bees come around, and I just start thinking about honeycomb, and they don't bother me. So yeah, I kind of get that.
Yeah,
You have
David,
anything else on that?
that's brilliant. That's exactly it. That's why I think people can get tripped up with the word telepathy, because it feels like, I don't even know sometimes, right? It's just too much, maybe. Like, I don't know. That's a word I'm not comfortable with. It's a word I'm not familiar with. When I first started, in as an animal communicator, I frankly shied away from that word because I just thought it was too much for people. They just weren't understanding it. But that's what this is. It's just distant feeling. It's thoughts and it's emotions and it's energy. So, David, I think that's a brilliant example of what telepathy is. The bees were reading your energy, they were understanding your thoughts and saying, just focused on the honeycomb. So they're not, he's not here to harm me, and it's all fine. One of the things that I probably the oldest example that I have for my own self is years and years ago when I was first learning this. There was we lived in Nebraska, and I would be walking a couple of our dogs, and I just started to play with this exercise. And this is something I can encourage everybody to do, kind of make your own little telepathic exercise. So there were a couple of places where we're going on our walk. We could either go straight, or we could turn to the left, go over a little bridge over a lake. And so I would keep both, it was Andy and Riley, I would keep them both on a very loose leash, like barely hanging on to it. And then I would start to think, ahead of time a little bit, let's see it in my mind's eye. And I would think it, let's either go straight or let's go over the bridge. And I played with this, and every single time, whatever it was I thought, they started to go that way. And so that told me, see, they are thinking, they're reading my thoughts, they're understanding what I'm saying. And that's such a basic example of it, but that is how simple telepathy can be. Or, I hear so many times, I've all kind of thought this, heard this a lot. I was just thinking about going for a walk and my dog's like right in front of me. Or, they went and grabbed the leash. Or, my dog always knows when someone's coming home. They go running to the door. Again, that's telepathy. That's just that distant feeling. Yes. And a lot, people will say, is my dog or cat, whatever, are they reading my mind? Yes, literally they are. And it's so cool. So yeah, let's say, this has happened to me quite a bit recently. So, we have 5 dogs. One's a little long-haired miniature dachshund named Jasper. And so I would start to, a couple times I would think, we're going to go for a walk, right? And in my mind, I was thinking it was going to be in an hour But Jasper just picked up, oh, we're going for a walk. Boom, he was right in front of me and he wouldn't leave me alone, jumping. Okay, we're going. I understood what you just said. You just said we're going for a walk. We're going now. And so then I had to start reframing that, sending him a picture. We'll go for a walk after you've eaten. Right. Then he's like, I see the difference. We're not going right now. So now, I don't know if that clears it up or not, or if I just made it more confusing. This is my world. And so sometimes I find it's hard to really describe, what it's really all about. But it's magic, I think. It's magical.
Yeah.
Well, I got a question. Oh, go ahead, Anthony.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that so you've given your experiences so far with dogs and horses and maybe cats. Are there any other animal types that you've worked with?
Oh gosh, absolutely. I've worked with birds and ferrets. I've worked with rabbits. There is no limit to the types of animals that I can and have worked with. Again, because it's all energy, and a big part of who I've become as well as an animal communicator, and this is part of my teaching as well, is understanding how connected we are all to nature. So, I'm talking with the ravens that are visiting. I'm connecting with the hawks that are flying by. I'm, connecting with the jackrabbit that is out getting a drink of water. I'm connecting with the Gila monster that I happen to see, right? So it's all having this connection. It might be a little bit different type of conversation, but there are no limits or no parameters on who you can and cannot connect with. It's all available. Yeah.
So, can animals communicate outside their species? Because, I mean, just be honest. Obviously, when you learn something new or hear new information, you begin to be a skeptic, right? Like ask questions.
Absolutely.
Want to dig deeper. So I'm skeptical of this.
Yes.
The first thought that came to my mind with this telepathic communication and that being the language is, then why are there predators and prey? In other words, wouldn't the prey be able to figure out through this telepathic language that the predator was coming after it and not be eaten?
That's a really interesting question. Yes. And what I'll say for that, because that's a really, really cool question. So I've worked with quite a few animals that have been the prey, that have been killed by a predator. And what comes in is it's all the circle of life. And they are accepting of what had happened to them. There's a deeper understanding. I think where sometimes we can get tripped up as humans is it can be really difficult, I feel, for us to understand the depth and the wisdom that animals truly have. Their understanding of nature and their understanding of living in the present moment. They're always just right here. They're not in the past and they're not in the future. So I think that's a really interesting question. But I feel like if I was, going to tune into, let's say, kind of the overall animal kingdom, which you can do, part of what I teach is talking with collective consciousness of different animals. But I don't think that let me back up. It would trip up the whole circle of life, Yes, I think that they can sense, certainly, energetically, right, that this is coming, this is happening. But just because of the way that things are set up, I don't think that the telepathy could make a difference. It's kind of like the laws of nature are already set, and I'm not sure that that could be disrupted. But in the question of how or do other species communicate telepathically, yes, they do, because it's just simply that language, interspecies language is what telepathy is, because we all have this. So humans have it. Every species on the planet has it, to varying degrees, though, I would say. Would we say an ant maybe is as conscious as a whale or a dolphin? Right? Then we're getting into a really different type of conversation, but there's still a consciousness, which then allows for that telepathic ability.
Well, that makes sense. So you're talking like like with dolphins, and they can teach them to uh, write out letters on a keyboard or whatever, to actually start to learn human words, through visualization and all that stuff, versus a parakeet, which it's pretty much has one job, very limited existence and very limited intelligence. So um, maybe describe the spectrum. What would be kind of a cutoff between the hyper, aware and intelligence versus, let's just say, uh, a pack of, uh, a herd of deer or something like that.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I have found, just mm, in my own interaction with animals, or and as I say animals, I'm including insects and all, right? Because I'm not going to go through and list all of the different types, but putting that all together as species, basically. Um, I'm not sure that I'm even qualified to answer that, because I know there's a very good, I don't know, it's not really a study, but it's someone. Anyway, sorry, I can't give enough details to make sense, but somebody that was very connected with a fly. And this really, you may say, oh, wow, okay, now she's really gone off the deep end. But it was, it was a valid story. So I think probably what I can only do is just share my experiences, because
Hmm.
I don't really know. I haven't, personally connected with a fly. I'm mostly, honestly, still irritated when they're, on the kitchen counter. I'm not really loving that. So, but I've had a real one in particular stands out. This was again back in Nebraska, but there's a praying mantis, and I remember I was just sitting outside, and I felt a really deep connection with this being, right, in this insect body, and I just invited it to come closer, and then I just put out my hand and crawled up into my palm, and I just sat there for quite a while. And it wasn't like I was speaking with let's say a dog, and we're asking questions and I'm getting answers and all of that. It was just this knowingness of connection with another sentient, to whatever degree of sentience there is there, of another sentient being. And to me, that's just really powerful and profound. And I think that the more people could just even kind of crack that door open to this possibility, it just, to me, it helps me understand that we really are all one, and especially all one with nature. Yeah.
Anthony, any questions?
Oh, we don't have time tonight.
Sure, you.
No, I'm a thinker, and so I often overthink these things. I could go on and on all night long with questions about this. But um, I did think of one and I forgot it. So I was going to circle back to it. But yeah, trying to think of what it was I was just thinking about.
Well, like, even when, we've gone camping and we've had deer up at my friend's cabin down here as in southern Colorado, they put out the deer lick salt, and so they knew that they were invited onto the property. So we'd walk out as long as we were calm and didn't directly, approach them or anything like that. They didn't care that we were there one way or another, having our campfire, making our breakfast. They just roam around. They wouldn't bother us. We wouldn't bother them. Is that just kind of like a known, hey, I'm cool. Hey, you're cool. Let's just hang out together.
Yeah, David, that's exactly it. They're feeling into the energy that you're projecting, which is calm, cool. We're not of any harm, right? We're not here to hunt you. We are just here having our own peaceful experience, as are you. And so, absolutely, that's what they're picking up on. So, it's just this really gentle kind of energy exchange of understanding each other. Yeah.
I guess my question was, like I said, my mind goes a million directions with these things. Why is this course and ability to communicate with animals? Why is this not a requirement in veterinary medicine? Why can't you just take your pet to the vet and the vet communicate with the pet, and now you know what's wrong? You don't have to keep guessing at medicine and spending $100 here and $30 there and $60 here trying to guess. Why are we not requiring this in veterinary medicine?
Oh my gosh, that just about brings tears to my eyes. I love that question. I love it. I love it. Yes, it's a very valid question. I agree. I absolutely agree. There is actually one of the top animal communicators in the country. Her name is Dr. Kara Gubbins. She's just brilliant. Many kudos to Dr. Kara. She is actually putting together something, and I can't recall exactly what it is, but in the process of studying this and hoping to actually bring this animal communication, I believe it was Dr. Kara. Anyway, I hope it was. It might also be Joan Ranquette. So apologize to both of you amazing ladies. But anyway, there are some animal communicators that are hoping to actually introduce this into veterinary medicine. And you're absolutely right. I happen to be very fortunate that our veterinarian, local veterinarian, is very much believes in animal communication and refers many clients to me and understands the benefits of this, right, for his patients as well, when we can get to some of these core issues. So it's becoming a little bit more understood. When I first started this in like 2015, 10 years ago, it was animal communication was just kind of starting to get a foothold, and it was starting to become a little more talked about. More people were, doing it, studying it. And now, just a short 10 years later, I feel it's really exploded. It's becoming much more well known, especially in kind of more holistic areas. And I think that could be something that would be incredibly helpful for at least, veterinarians, vet techs, to have that awareness of there is more there, and to trust the intuition as well. Yes, of course, their first basis is going to be, medical knowledge and all of that. But to add this extra layer on there, I think it would be absolutely brilliant.
I'm definitely going to have to share this with my daughter because she's a vet assistant too. So,
Oh, nice. Yeah, absolutely. It's that's something, I would love to be able to start getting into actually some veterinarian offices and teaching at least the basics to help them understand that yes, there's so much more there, and even to, in some of the animals that are very fearful, just to kind of switch the energy literally in the room would be incredibly helpful. Yeah. Yeah. And I love too, Anthony, that you've got all these questions and having the skepticism and asking the questions, because that's how we learn more about anything, you know.
Yeah, it's the same thing no matter what topic you're learning, from theology to academia. If you're not skeptical of the subject matter at hand, then you're probably not going to learn as much as you could.
Mm-hmm.
Skepticism. We hear the word skeptic or skeptical and we shy away from it, but skepticism really is a good thing, because the more skeptical you are, it means the more your mind is working and thinking and trying to understand and figure things out. And so I believe skepticism personally to be a good thing. I know a lot of people get kind of taken aback by the phrase, but I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's healthy, because it's what it does in my mind is it starts the dialogue, it starts the conversation about learning about things with which we may not be very familiar. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, and I had one thing to add to when you were asking about like the different human languages. One of the things that I say is, here we are living with our animal companions, and we're not speaking the same language at all. So what would it be like if you were living with a human and you didn't speak the same language, right? Like Anthony, what if we lived with someone that only spoke Japanese and we spoke English? Well, we probably could get along, do a lot of hand gestures, things like that. But it's not to that level that it could be, where they're either we learn Japanese, they learn English, and we're speaking the same language. That's what it's like for animals. So when we have somebody, like an animal communicator, that can come in and speak their language, that's the first time they're being heard and understood at that level. I just worked with a client just before we had our podcast today, and I'll just tell you really quickly. She rescues greyhounds, and I was working with 4 of her rescued greyhounds, and one was brand new. She had just been there about 3 weeks long. For about 3 weeks. And so my client was saying, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this. The dog just come into the room that she was sitting in. The dog had never come in there before. They had not ever all been together. The dogs like in the same room. They all came in together and were laying down and just resting. And, the client could not even believe it. She's like, they're all here together. They've never done this before. And the one that we just rescued, she's never even stepped foot in this room. And so to me, that's showing, they're feeling at ease and they're feeling peaceful and relaxed. That finally, because I talked to all of them, finally we're being heard and we're being understood at our own level, in our own language.
I mean, in humanity, I've been deployed in the military. I did a couple different law enforcement jobs. And when there is a language barrier, there's universal mannerisms, body language, but there's also universal words that like 95% of the world understands. For example, stop. 95% of the world understands stop. And if you give them some kind of hand signal to get down, they understand that. So that portion of it I get. But obviously, if you want to communicate, stop. If you want to communicate a little more in depth, you have to learn the language of that individual, as you were saying, in order to do that in-depth communication.
Yeah. Exactly.
Good shirts. Where'd you get that from? Inside my closet.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So take that one off and get one from off the shelf. In
But
the
it's
laundry.
not done.
It shouldn't.
Yes, it is.
Wrong.
Hey, I just got it playing again.
Okay, turn that off.
Why?
Because we're almost done here. Turn that off.
Okay.
Kids. All right. Well, thanks for being with us, Allison. If you want to tell us a little bit more about your business and what you do and how people can get in touch with you, that would be great. My ear.
Yeah, I'd love to. So people can find me on my website. It's animalsoulconnection.com. And I offer animal communication sessions, again, worldwide, help you understand what your pets are thinking and needing. Really importantly, I also work with animals who have passed, so animals that are in spirit, and that's no different than speaking with them when they're living in their animal body, and that provides a tremendous sense of peace and comfort for people. So really would love to help anybody that is grieving the loss of their pet, help them connect with them in spirit. I offer energy healing sessions as well. So this is something that I've been working on for quite some time. I've created my own kind of way of incorporating energy healing. I use crystals. So again, that's the healing power of nature, and that can help with any kind of behavioral, physical, emotional issues as well. And I teach animal communication, and I offer specific pet loss grief program. It's a 5-week program that I work with people individually on. We meet on Zoom, and I help them really get a little bit, go a little bit deeper with how they're feeling through the grief. I'm gonna do some very special grief movement practices, a little bit of art therapy, and it's a really very special sacred time that I work with people on pet loss grief. And very soon, I'm super excited about unveiling my online school. It's called the Animal Soul School. And in there, I'm going to have over 10 different courses so far where people can take some self-paced learning and again, about animal communication, behavior balancing, getting more connected with their own animal family, how to connect with their own pets in spirit. So there's going to be a lot of really amazing, I think, helpful courses in there. Some will be shorter, some will be a little bit longer, but just working on some final touches there so you can start to look for the Animal Soul School as well.
Cool. Very good. Thank you for the information.
Yeah, thank you.
As always, to our listeners, David and I would just like to emphasize that we're here for you guys, whether you're a veteran or a civilian. Many of you know that I am a veteran, and veteran causes are near and dear to my heart. And we would rather have a 3 a.m. conversation with you than to hear about you on the news the next morning when we got up. So please always feel free to reach out to us and let us know what we can do to help you. Again, Allison, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you both so much. I really appreciate it.
David, you want to talk about our sponsors and wrap this up, buddy? You're muted. You're muted.
How about that? I'm unmuted. I'm sure we'll have you back on, and we'll have questions because, now that we have time to think about it, I mean, gosh, there's so much I want to know and stuff that I can honestly see that I had that kind of relationship with my pets in the past. And so that's really nice to really put that kind of in a full circle. So we look forward to it again and again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So with that, we'll just finish off. If you want to learn more about pet and human wellness, I've come across some very good products with uh, proprietary mushrooms that are extremely good for you, and a series of other products for pet calming and stuff like that. I know 4th of July passed, but we kind of ran a promo on them before the 4th of July that you can give your pets to calm them down and stuff like that when you know they're going to be in a position of anxiety. But just go to World of Pets podcast and actually debspets.com. World of Pets podcast is here on YouTube, but debspets.com, and that's debspets.com to get more information there. Deb's been a great coach for me as far as that goes. So we look forward to seeing you guys again. God bless all of you.
Thank you.